With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels on everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Non-binary listeners, ladies and gentlemen, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookieens, the Eurythmics, the audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our host's past performances are not indicative of anyone's future performance, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events unrelated to outcomes may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved.
It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
What should we do? Let's go this way. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I've traveled the world in the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Welcome to episode 163 of our Casino Combat podcast. I don't know if everyone is looking for something or not, and I'm not sure I can get all the way to 7 seas. Let's run it down here. Let's see what we can come up with real quick. Bodies of water I've been on in the last, let's call it 18 months, compliments of my ability to do casino combat. Let's structure the thought that way. The Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Alaska, and the Gulf of America. 6. Didn't quite get to the 7 seas. Still, I took a nice shot at it for the sake of the Eurythmics reference. Pretty close. 6, not 7. It's an amazing thing, folks. It is to me. Maybe to some of you, it's not amazing. In fact, I know to some of you, it's not amazing at all. I follow some of your Instagram. We have some listeners who literally travel the globe, who have listened to the podcast in Tanzania. I'd need a map to find Tanzania if I had to. So certainly not amazing for some of you, but truly amazing for a poor broke farm kid from middle of nowhere, America, to have reached the point where I get to go to what are to me some fascinating and amazing places, all because of the ability to essentially, and that is, if this is your first time, that is what this podcast is all about. I've been trying to explain it to some people who have asked, if you can play a 50-50 game, and there are a number of them in the casino if you are not familiar. If you can play blackjack, baccarat, pass, don't pass, craps, those are 50-50 games. And if you can play a 50-50 game to a 50-50 outcome, and if you can afford to do that with money, a fairly large amount of money at risk per hand, casinos and cruise ships are happy to have you travel, compliments of them. They are happy to give you places to stay, food to eat, money to gamble with, shows to watch, and they're more than happy to do that. And this podcast teaches how to do that. And then, of course, like a lot of human beings, I am just a bit of a greedy SOB, and so I would like to play that 50-50 game to a 50-50 outcome that is just slightly in my favor and take a little profit along the way when I can on a monthly, certainly on an annualized basis. That is what I would like to do. So I do have one quick what is going on in the Casino Combat Galaxy for you today. I do have one of those to share with you. But first, every episode, I do a little something I like to call the battle plan. And today's is as simple can be. As I said, I got one, what's going on around the Casino Combat Galaxy for you. And then we are going to jump right into the virtual VIP lounge. We did a Zoom call when I got back from my cruise to Alaska and gathered together a number of members of the Inner Circle and the Excelsior Brigade, just as if we had been able to all get together in real life. We all had a beverage or two, and I talked a little bit about the trip, gave some details, answered some questions, and that's going to be our segment today. I think it went about 45 minutes, so added in with perhaps some quick thoughts of mine at the end of things, and that's going to be our episode, at least the official part of our episode. You never know what Easter eggs might happen along the way. We'll see what that looks like today. So, going on in the Casino Combat Galaxy, I wanted to share an email from one of our Excelsior Brigade members, Wrench. And he's just back from MGM Properties and Circa Properties, just back from a Las Vegas trip where he made almost 10 days' pay after expenses and received another 6 days in value on top of that. So if you are not familiar, that's a lot about what we do here in terms of talking about our results. Money is different everywhere in the sense that what someone in the Philippines would consider a large amount of money to an investment banker in New York City would be a rather small amount of money. What is a lot of money to someone living in the Dakotas and able to go to maybe Deadwood and play once a month is maybe not a lot of money to someone that has to play in a big money city like New Orleans or Detroit or things like that. So we don't like to get too bogged down in actual dollar amounts. And we also all know what we make a day doing a regular job, or what our skills might be worth in the market if we were doing a regular job. So we can all relate to what a day's pay is in our life. So what Wrench is telling us here is he went to Las Vegas, and I happened to kind of there for a long weekend. And over the course of his time in Las Vegas, he earned the same money that he would make going to his job for 10 days, the equivalent for most of us of 2 weeks. And that in addition to that, the casinos gave him another 6 days' pay in value. That's incredible, everyone. And, I was going to say I'm not going to take credit for that. But I know Wrench's backstory, and I'm going to take credit for that. Think about that. Las Vegas, the city that just wrecks people financially by their own choice in most cases. And as a member of our squad, Wrench just rolls in, makes 2 weeks' pay, and gets almost another full calendar week in free stuff. That's absolutely amazing. Well done. Brava. Way to illustrate exactly what can be done if you listen to this podcast and do the things that we talk about here. Wrench had some details for us regarding what he saw in terms of table conditions. He wanted me to let you all know that what he saw currently is MGM has 2 3-2 blackjack tables. This has been a ongoing concern in my mind, only because I found it very difficult to play the Las Vegas Strip because rules 6-5, not 3-2, and limits $50, $100 a hand is I'm not playing 6-5, and $50, $100 a hand, while not a number I reach those numbers on a fairly regular basis. I make those bets. But I'm doing that from a $25 unit size. I'm not doing that as my starting point in any way. And it's not something that Mrs. TRG would be comfortable with, happy with. It's not a level she's going to want to play. So good news that MGM Grand has 2 3-2 tables, at least until about at $25 minimum until about midday. And then they go up to 50 or 100, with both tables offering surrender. It's good to see MGM rolling out more surrender choices in their product on the Strip. That's a good thing. That's a player advantageous thing. So always happy to see that happening. Wrench continues. New York has 1 3-2 table at the corner of one of the pits, facing the center of the casino next to the roulette wheel. Limits are the same as the tables at MGM Grand. We did find that table the last time we were in town, and it would stay at that 25 number a good bit. We played that table quite a bit. When we could get seats there, we kind of locked them down and kept them. He says Park MGM doesn't have any 3-2 on the main floor anymore, only in high limit. That is a shame. He also says he didn't get over south of New York, but Aria, Cosmo, and Bellagio had loads of 6-5, right, with limits at or above $100 a hand. I cannot imagine being able to afford to consistently play $100 a hand and letting them insult me, and that's the way I would feel, insulted by the idea of a 6-5 payout. I just wouldn't. I'm a craps player if that's where we are. He does say that he saw a few 3-2 tables, all with table minimums at higher values. You're a moron if you're playing $100 a hand, or in my humble opinion, you're a moron if you're playing $100 a hand and accepting 6-5 as a payout. That's ridiculous. As I said, that's insulting. He says El Cortez has nice double-deck game and quite a few 3-2 tables with no weird mandatory side bets anymore, all at low limits. Also, the remodel looks very well done. I would love to see that. El Cortez has traditionally been a hidden gem about giving gamblers a fair game. If you're not familiar, El Cortez, one of the oldest continuously operating casinos in the Las Vegas area. It is down on Fremont, just outside the Fremont Street Experience. He continues, Binion's, Four Queens, and Fremont all have lousy games. Shame on them. Just shame on them. Binion's used to always be the place to be as a gambler. I used to make a pilgrimage there anytime I was in town, just because it was such a wonderful gambler-focused property. He continues, Club One properties are still exclusively 3-2 with no side bet, no surrender, and they stand on all 17s unless you go to circa high limit. All 3 properties have table minimums starting at $10 during the day, $15 at night. For those of you not familiar, that's like circa and the D are kind of that family of properties. Third one I'm not coming to mind real quick. Golden Gate has a small high-limit parlor with a $50 double-deck game, $25 hand shuffle, shoe table. He says, this little room is my absolute favorite spot to play blackjack anywhere. I can understand that. I really can see and understand that. Yeah, those sound like great places, old school places, places where I would like the vibe. I always like Circa, other than they keep the music a little too high. That's the way the owner likes it. He says, I ended up staying at Circa in a room my host comped me. The rooms are incredibly nice. Again, let me know if you want a host contact, as I have a relationship with a couple at this point, and I am sure they would love to have you. That is a wonderful, and generous offer. He concludes, one last thing, I cannot find a link for the life of me. How the heck do I send you some cash as a tip? Thank you for all you have given to this community. Very nice of you. Very nice of you to offer. I don't have a link, folks, and at the same time, I am not trying to make this difficult. If you would like to make a contribution of any type, if you feel I've contributed to your success in some way and you've had a good run and you would like to send a tip, it will be very much appreciated. It will not go into my living expenses. It will not go into a bar somewhere. It will go into something that in some way tries to make this podcast better for everyone involved. And I have found that the easiest way for any of you to do that, I think, I'm open to ideas if any of you think you have a better one, but what I have found to be the easiest, and as I said, always grateful to those of you who do this. It's a wonderful blessing, and I truly appreciate you sharing with the rest of the squad and giving me some funds to put back into this. But go to PayPal. Send an email to trg@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. It's a very easy way. If for some reason you're uncomfortable with that, send an email to trg@casinocombat.com. I'm certainly willing to give you my Venmo. I'm certainly willing to give you my Cash App. If for some reason you are more comfortable with doing things that way, we can do things that way. Happy to be accommodating if you would like to send us funds, everybody. This thing takes a lot of moving parts, and there's always another expense. There's always another this. There's always another that. I'll be honest, I have been busy enough, a little bit sick recently, but I have been busy enough that I have not been playing with nearly the rigorous schedule I was able to for quite a few years. I've been playing a little less often because I've needed to play a little less often. And I hope we never get to a balance of that. I hope we never get to the point where it's like, I can't do a podcast task today. I really just need to go to the casino and make some money. I'd like to not ever be faced with that. So thank you for the prompt wrench. Thank you for the update on what's going on in Las Vegas, because obviously I was in Alaska. I wasn't able to be in Las Vegas and check things out. If this is your first time, I always like to take care of our first time listeners. If this is your first time, this episode is, I think, going to be interesting, educational, informative, but this is not a traditional episode for us. This is not a standard normal episode for us. If you want to get a better sense of things, jump back to episode 62, 63, 64. I do a lot of teaching in those episodes around something we call TRG2, always be grinding, an excellent time-tested strategy for beating 50-50 wagers. We've tested that pretty thoroughly now. We got some variants on it. We have a lot of people that have used it. I also, in episode 64, talk about the meta martingale. Once again, well tested. I am not, and I'll make this final point, and then we will jump into our segment for this episode. I am not asking you to believe me. I am not asking you, if this is your first time, to believe a voice on your device that is someone you have never met. I'm not. You don't need to. This thing has an incredible history at this point. I'm asking you to believe Wrench. He just told you it worked. He just wrote me an email and he just told you it works. I'm asking you to believe a man you have not met but could meet easily. East Coast emissary, inner circle member, the fourth one to ever find the ring. He'll happily tell you. I'll give you his phone number. He'll happily meet you if you want to stop by Atlantic City if he possibly can. He'll tell you this all works. Come by our Facebook group, the Casino Combat Squad. Join the Facebook group. Just ask. Just put a post in the Facebook group and say, is this guy for real? Does this stuff really work? Just ask. Plenty of people with real names and real contact information will happily tell you how this works and doesn't work for them. They'll be happy to tell you. We have plenty of people that will tell you this works. The other thing I will say, if you are new, I said one more thing and I'm going to add one more thing to the one more thing. Hey, the Ramblin Gambler rambled. That's on brand. Go to the website, casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. Go to the Fred section. All types of things that you can download. We have flowcharts that have been created by the listening community. We have materials. We are here to sincerely do our best to help you win the game of casino gambling and to show you how not every trip, not every machine, not every day, but almost every month, certainly almost every year, we all win the game of casino gambling. So having said that and having said more than enough, let's adjourn to the virtual VIP lounge for some sips and some stories about a wonderful cruise to Alaska.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the Virtual VIP Lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs, guaranteed or your money back. As always, if you can, press pause. Let's hang out together for a bit. We're going to have a group today. It is going to be a true virtual VIP lounge. Pour a drink, fix a plate, hang out with me and our friends, and let's talk just a little bit about this cruise that I was just on. All right, we have an excellent virtual VIP lounge this evening to do a debrief about an Alaskan cruise that I recently did. I have got Inner Circle member Dr. ECE fourth to the ring here. I have Equine Ensign with us. I have VCPD, Virginia Casino player Doug with us, and I have Midnight Diver. So we have, in fact, a proper VIP lounge in the virtual sense. And I was just telling everybody that I've laid out just a couple sections of stuff that I thought maybe I'd lay out first to set the groundwork, and then we'll do any questions, conversations, observations, clarifications, indemnifications. Now, we probably won't need those. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ship proper, because this is the smallest ship I've ever been on, and it is a ship that was set up for cold weather. And what that means is that this particular ship had none of the water parky kind of stuff on the top of the ship. It had both an indoor and an outdoor pool and a solarium indoor pool for adults, but it didn't have any actual water slides, dump buckets, things of that particular nature. And in retrospect, that was fine, because other than some brave people the first day as we left Seattle headed for the Inner Passage, there weren't a lot of people using the pool, and there weren't a lot of people, there were some people using the hot tub, but not a lot of people using the pools, even the indoor ones. And the other thing I observed is that the entire ship just felt a little off. I'm familiar now, or think I'm familiar now, with a general sense of what I expect on a royal ship. The dining rooms were decorated in a way that didn't make sense. They were positioned in a way that didn't make sense. There was a space called Music Box, and a space called 270 that I've never seen on any other ship. And I got asking a dealer about it and found out that the ships were originally commissioned by Celebrity. All of the Quantum class ships were commissioned by Celebrity. Celebrity got into financial trouble and the ships ended up being bought pre-launched by Royal Caribbean. And some things they could adjust and some things they couldn't. And that was the explanation for a lot of chrome and more 90s touches in the dining rooms. The reason for the extra spaces that had names I wasn't particularly familiar with. And the other thing I'll observe here is that whether because of that or just because of other things, despite it being a smaller ship, all the public spaces felt huge. You never felt crowded in almost any situation. And I liked that. I'll take a few less people on the ship and much bigger public spaces. I mean, this music box space was absolutely huge, gigantic. And they 2 floors, and they used it for a variety of things, including as a pool hall. So a well laid out ship, honestly, probably my favorite royal ship I've been on, all in all things considered. And part of that is because it was set up for cold weather cruising. So the solarium was completely enclosed. The indoor pool was enclosed. So we left Seattle. We had a day at sea. We went to an island town called Sitka and did some touring. And the one tour guide told us something that I found absolutely amazing. We were there June 2nd, and it was only the 6th day with no rain they'd had since January 1st. Other than that, it rained every single day, all the time. We got lucky. We had good weather all of our stops. I can't imagine doing the tours we did in any kind of meaningful rain. We would have, obviously, but it certainly wouldn't have been our first choice. Sitka, we saw a historical site that involved the clash between the individuals already living there and the Russians wanting to live there. And it was really fascinating that one of the things the Russians had done is they had dug this massive man-made lake because ice was so valuable in San Francisco. So they used this man-made lake to make ice, then chopped the ice into blocks, packaged it, and put it on ships and shipped it down to San Francisco, which was a very small place at that point. San Francisco was a barely occupied nothing. I mean, one Roman guy, or Russian guy, said that whoever owned Sitka owned the Pacific coast of North America. That's how they saw Sitka at the time. We also did a sea tour and saw gray whales and seals and sea lions and so many bald eagles that we quickly learned to tell the difference between an immature bald eagle and a fully mature bald eagle. And the one guy joked that in Sitka, bald eagles are as common as pigeons in New York. And that felt right. That felt like that was true. We did our next day in Skagway, which is even still today, the town itself is a main street and about 4 blocks of storefronts. I mean, there's almost nothing there. We saw their high school. They had a big graduating class recently. It was 3 people. No one was quite sure how prom went. So, I mean, boardwalks, not sidewalks. Dirt streets in a lot of cases. Definitely felt frontier. We went to the Red Onion, which was the longest active business in town. It was originally a brothel. And they had tours every 30 minutes of the upstairs and a lot of fun jokes around that. Those tours were run by horstorians who took people upstairs and showed them the upstairs and showed them how things had been. A really good local bourbon. I had a really good local bourbon there. So the next day was very interesting, and also interesting from a casino point of view, which we'll come back to, which is that we went to something called Dawes Glacier. And it's a point where a glacier meets the ocean, or a bay, I guess, depending on how you want to term it. And we were told that we'd be able to see the glacier or the things around the glacier from roughly 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. We probably honestly did not see as much wildlife as other people saw who stayed up the whole 4 hours, because we got up at 5 and said, there are some small, tiny icebergs and a mountain. Okay, I'm going back to bed. And we checked every 15 or 20 minutes. When we got as close to the glacier as the captain thought he could get, he rotated the ship 360 twice before we then headed back to Juneau, Alaska, where we panned for gold and found some gold. And it was fun to see that there actually is a fair amount of technique in how you go about panning for gold. And I don't get the sense that anything was planted. I get the sense that there's enough of those little fragments. We got 4 or 5 fragments. On a good day, they're maybe worth 50 cents. It was the experience of doing it more than anything else. And then we spent a day at sea. And then we stopped in Victoria, British Columbia. And the port, the gangway was down at 2:30 p.m. and didn't go back up till 7:30 p.m. And it seemed like kind of a waste of time, which inevitably it is. The United States wanted to protect U.S. ships and U.S. shipping. So a U.S. ship is allowed to go directly from a port in Alaska to any U.S. port. But any ship flagged for any other nation has to stop somewhere before returning to the United States that is not the United States. So our cruise used Victoria, and we took a little tour, and it was fine. But it was clearly this was just filling a legal requirement. The casino itself, they valued the comp from the casino in the paperwork at 25 days pay. It was a very generous comp, and that 25 days pay included $500 of free slot play. And in terms of the bar, the layout, the layout of the casino, probably again my favorite of any royal ship we've been on. Some of them, the slots are very cramped, or there are little roundabout areas in the middle that are always blocked up that mobility devices can't get through. Plenty of blackjack tables, a craps table where play was sporadic. They had $10 single zero roulette and $10 double zero roulette. And I can't understand why anybody played double zero roulette. But I always saw someone play when I looked. So very happy with the casino, very happy with the blackjack rules, the table limits, all of those kinds of things. But their schedule, because of what type of cruise this was, forced us into less play. Casino was open about an hour after we left port in Seattle till whenever people were done. The casino was open the next day at sea. And of course, we played a little bit. And then the next 2 days, the casino was only open after we got to international waters. And one night, we never got to international waters. We were in the inner passage. We were technically in U.S. water. It just didn't open. And the following night, it opened about an hour after we left Juneau, which was like 9 o'clock at night. And we'd been up since 5 a.m. And so when we left a show that ended at 10 and we'd been up since 5 a.m., we were like, yeah, no, not going to try to go get into this now. So the last day, or the second day at sea, we got a couple good sessions in. Mrs. TRG had a nice little triple bonus on Cat's Claws or Chaos Cat or something of that nature. There was a machine based on the Wonder Dog character from the cartoon of my youth, and the pay table went from 40 cents, or not the pay table, the wager table, went from 40 cents to $2.40. So doing the math, it's about a $40 buy-in and you're looking to win $4. And I got a lot of playtime in on that. And obviously the points for those lower wagers aren't going to be great, but they are going to be high house advantage points. And nobody ever wanted to play it. It was constantly available. The buy-in was low. And I won money all but one session. And in one session, kind of more than doubled what I had bought in for. The final day before we got to Seattle, the gangway was going down at 2:30 in Victoria. But honestly, we used the day as kind of a recovery day. We had breakfast in the solarium. We spent some time in the hot tub. And then both of us were like, yeah, no. Like, we're going to have to eat dinner before we get off the ship for our excursion. And when we get back on the ship, the gangway is going to go up and we're going to not really get out at sea. And I didn't want to go down and get involved in a blackjack game with a limited time roll, where at some moment someone was going to say, that's it, last hand, we crossed the magic line, casino's closed. I didn't want at 11:30, having been in the hot tub and gotten showered and gotten ready to go go down and find a space and get into a game only to play for an hour or so and have them say we're out of international waters, the casino's closed. So we did significantly less gambling because there were significantly less opportunities to gamble unless you were just really seeking it out, unless you were just really trying to make sure that I'm going to get time in, I'm going to get time in, and I'm going to accept the situation as it is. So we didn't have a lot of time in the casino. We got beat up basically every attempt. We would buy in and we would be looking at each other after hand 7 or hand 8 and going, have you won a hand? I won one. I'm going to play one more. That's not normal for us. That's not typical for us. Often we'll play 2, 3, 4 shoes and Mrs. TRG will be down a little and I'll be up a little and we'll rebalance the 2 stacks and play again and look for something good to happen. It just never did. It absolutely, we never had that good thing happen. And maybe we can say, well, if we'd had more opportunity, but we really didn't. We were given $500 in free slot play. We won $483. Mrs. TRG had a couple nice payouts on bonuses that she hit. I pretty consistently won playing underdog. We made money playing slots, as we often do, mostly because the $500 free play paid out so well. We lost 8 days pay total on the cruise. And that's a real ouch. That's not fun. But clearly, if you look at the math, we were comped 25 days pay and we lost 5 to 8 days pay. If you had offered me this cruise for the difference in those two numbers, I'd have said, no, I don't think it's a nice offer, but it's not a nice enough offer that I want to take this cruise. Even with the loss, the comp was more than enough for me to be happy that we were there and it was something we did. And then I took a bigger look, since as I said, that was clearly a casino combat win. I wanted to look at our lifetime relationship with Royal, all the cruises that we've been on. And over that time, when I look it all up, we are ahead 3 days pay after expenses. And we've been comped. So we have been comped a total of 62 days pay. And we are ahead 3 days pay after expenses. We've had some cruises where we really put it to them. And this cruise, we took a small loss, and we've had a cruise where we took a more significant loss, but not only in terms of this trip being a casino combat win, but so far the relationship is a cash money win. I guess play for the lifetime relationship of the cruise brand, not the table the machine of the day, if we want to look at it that way. So I'm very happy with that. We are beating them overall in the long run. I I don't want to say I wouldn't ever do it again, but I would look at the other options first. It was a very different cruise than cruising the Caribbean. Cruising the Caribbean, most people look like they are, understandably, on a tropical vacation. Most people have got the drink package. Attire on the pool deck are minimalistic. Tank tops and trunks for guys, bikinis for a lot of the women. The pool deck, the indoor pool deck on this ship, the attire was insulated boots and flannel. And some people took off the boots and just got right in the hot tub. We saw more people fully dressed in the hot tub. I didn't even know that was a thing. I really didn't. I cannot imagine I was ever going to get in a hot tub wearing a flannel shirt and sweatpants. But we saw a lot of people doing just exactly that, somewhat to my surprise. Loved the ship. We're going to be on Quantum of the Seas down the Mexican Riviera in September. I'm looking forward to being on a similarly classed ship again. And then I said I would do this. Let me share a hero crook dilemma, because this was an interesting one. The day before you get on the ship, those of you who cruise know, the day before you get on the ship, you go into the app and do the last step of check-in, which is your health check. Pretty simple. Are you a pregnant woman more than X months pregnant? And have you in the last 24 hours developed a cough, a sore throat, a runny nose, or other medical conditions? True. Haven't. End up out in the rain in Seattle after I complete that requirement. We get on the ship. The guy says, out in the rain, and I caught a head cold. I was highly convinced it was a head cold. It did mutate into bronchitis, but at the time I was fully convinced it was a head cold. So he runs through the two questions again. There's the hero crook dilemma. Technically, since I filled out the questionnaire, I had developed a bit of a sore throat and a runny nose. The hero thing to do is to say, yes, sir, I have, and then be told I can't get on the ship, and then go live in Seattle in a hotel room until my wife gets back if she was willing to go without me. Thought that was a fascinating implication of that 100% good guy, a little bit of a crook move. We'll let everybody decide for themselves what they would have done in that situation. And think about what those of you listening out there in the wider world, think about what you would have done. Would you have really just, having flown to Seattle and had everything on the cruise already taken care of, Wi-Fi purchased, not refundable, excursions purchased, would you have just said, yeah, I developed a new runny nose today and gotten back off the ship? I wasn't brave enough to do that. So that is kind of a rundown of what our cruise on Anthem of the Seas was like. Questions, clarifications, things I should have said and didn't? Yeah, go ahead, Equine.
I was actually waving at some, but I was going to ask anyway. That's okay. I'm sitting outside. So this is the smallest ship that you've been on, but you like it the best. You said it was the layout of the ship you liked the best?
There were more public spaces, and the public spaces felt bigger. Liberty of the Seas. Sorrento's Pizza's kind of tucked in behind something else. This Sorrento's was easily the size of the Sorrento's on Oasis. Absolutely huge. Not that I'm a big shopper, but, I should tell you about that too. Not that I'm a big shopper, but there seemed to be more shopping. There was an extra cafe called the 270 Cafe that worked in conjunction with a entertainment space that, when there wasn't a presentation going on, doubled as a place to sit down and eat and snack. So it functioned like a low-end made-to-order buffet. They had paninis, they had that kind of stuff. So it wasn't just cold food. Our cabin didn't feel significantly smaller or more crowded, but all the public spaces felt bigger. but moving around the ship was quicker. So take it all in combination, and given the fact that I don't particularly care if we go down the water slide or not, it kind of checks all the boxes for me.
All right, yeah, because I told you I'll be on Vision the end of this month, which is significantly smaller than Liberty, which is the biggest I've been on it. I mean, it's only my third cruise, but I was kind of curious why you like the smaller one better.
Well, and the casino was better. The casino was just laid out better. The casino bar was nicer. The casino bar on Liberty is what I'm going to say 8 stools, 6 stools, something like that.
Not big at all.
Yeah, this casino bar was like, I don't know, 18 to 22 seats.
Okay.
Significantly more sizable. Liberty of the Seas tries to say the left side is smoking and the right side is non-smoking. So both sides end up being a little bit not enough of anything. And it kind of feels split up, broken up. I mentioned shopping. Talk about the weirdest thing. We stop in an Effie jeweler, which I was surprised to see an Effie jeweler in the town of Skagway. But we had lots of time in Skagway after our excursion, and we'd had some lunch, and we're just kind of roaming around. And so we stopped by Effie Jewelry, and Mrs. TRG finds a dainty, petite, tiny rainbow sapphires bracelet. And they're trying to get her convinced. They're trying to get us to not walk away. And so he's like, can I get you a bottle of wine? Can I get you a beer, sir? And I said, sure, I'll take a beer. It doesn't look like a town where the open carry laws are particularly enforced. Sure, I'll take a beer. And Mrs. TRG said, I'll take a beer too. And as one guy's trying to corral her into buying something at $2,500 she's never going to buy. He says, let me show you rings. And I said, honestly, I don't need you to show me rings. I'm happy with all my rings. But I had this bracelet stolen. I'd be interested in any bracelets you had with tiger's eye across the top. Because I lost one and I need to replace it. And I only have another couple weeks to claim the insurance depreciation money on it. And so he makes his excuses and goes and looks a couple places and does this. And he goes, well, you said you bought it at an Effie jewelry store. Yeah, I did. On Harmony of the Seas. And he goes, all right, come on over here. So he takes me over to the computer and he proceeds, based on my name, obviously, to look up what I bought on that ship. And he goes, let me get my manager. We got one in the safe. And so the manager comes over and he says, this guy's an Effie jeweler customer from the past. He had a bracelet stolen. We have the exact bracelet in the safe. Will you go get it for me? So sure enough, they had exactly the same bracelet, and they were willing to honor the original purchase price, which included the $200 Prime member deduction. And I threw the $200 on them after he'd given me his, quote, best price. And I said, I have a Prime discount of $200 on any one purchase here. I will, at that price, I'll absolutely take it. And he kind of did the gulp thing. And she and I talked about it a little bit, and it was like, how many more times are you going to, on a cruise, are you going to, like, who thinks in Skagway of all places you're going to find this exact same bracelet that I bought in the Caribbean? And I do really like that piece because it's not metallic, so it doesn't matter what other metallics I'm wearing, and it matches a tiger's eye ring that I have. And there are superstitious people that believe that tiger's eye is good luck for gamblers. So super thrilled, although I am not a shopper, to find out that this little, I was amazed that he's just looking it up and he goes, yeah, you bought it on this day. And here's the item number. And yeah, I'll get my boss. We have it in the safe.
You never would have thought about that. Bought it on a ship and you're in a little town and there it is. It's crazy.
Great prompt. We actually learned about that in Juneau. apparently part of the reason that you see the same retail stores, like you always see Diamonds International. I've never seen a Diamond International anywhere else. I was surprised to see that Diamond International had built a store in Skagway. Those are all owned and operated by the cruise lines. All owned and operated by the cruise lines, which is why you
That's
see.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they built the ports, built their shopping in the ports, then take you to the ports and encourage you to buy things in the ports. Absolutely. Because our tour guide said, tour guide was interesting. Tour guide said, if you're going to buy something, please, there's all kinds of reasons to explore, but these 3 blocks, could you please not? Those all belong to the cruise ship. You can find those anywhere. Those next 4 blocks, those aren't owned by the cruise ship. Those are all owned by locals. So that was that's where the fact came from. Of all things, our tour guide in Juneau was from Georgia. His son moved to Juneau 3 years ago, liked it. His wife, the son's mother, wanted to spend more time with their son, so they went to visit him for 2 months in Juneau, and then realized that if they were going to stay for 2 months, they really needed to get jobs, and jobs were easy to get. So apparently, just like Atlantic City has a season, Ocean City, Maryland has a season, Alaska has a season. It gets up to 40, and there's daylight from 4 a.m. until 9 p.m. And that's the only time anybody does anything. So this guy and his wife enjoyed it so much that even though the son married a local girl and moved back to Georgia, they're still coming up every year just to work the season and be part of it. So there's a whole employment migration that happens there. There's Alaska has a sovereign trust fund. And everybody who lives there more than X days of the year gets a check once a year from the oil fields. And so there are people that establish residency, come up to work the season, and then they get a check for like $1,300-$1,400 because they've been in Alaska just enough days to count as being eligible for this sovereign trust. So that was a real, just don't expect your tour guide, or I don't expect my tour guide in Alaska to be from Atlanta, Georgia, and have a good old boy Southern accent.
I had a question about the casino. It's I haven't done as much cruising as other people. Do they base how much they want you to play on how much the casino's open, or how much the cruise cost that you're getting comped?
I'm going to believe that what you get comped is, as always, based on your ADT. And they are, in my experience, meticulous. Like you can say, oh, hey, hold my spot, I'm going to go to the bathroom. In most land-based casinos, the pit boss doesn't come over and walk you. And you come back and you got points for your average wager for that time. They had that all under the dealer's responsibility. And as soon as you sit out of hand, boom, you're off the table. So I am sure we screwed up our ADT, if they want to look at it that way. On a cruise basis, I'm sure I messed up my ADT. Bigger picture, I don't care. I already have a cruise booked in September. I had a cruise in February, and I played every night at a normal level. I have another cruise booked in September that's going down the Mexican Riviera, and I assume my play will be normal. So I'm just, I have not been told. My expectation is that, like, Caesar's Palace is notorious for this in particular. If you're a Caesar's Palace regular and you normally get comped X and resort credits Y, and you happen to come in and be there for work or be there for more of a family event, one lopsided visit is not going to drastically change the comps that you're given. They look at the overall relationship. They've been here once a month. One of the months was a little off. We still want them to come back. The other reason I said I don't care is that I have been comped more cruises than I ever expected to be comped. My current list of comped cruises has 9 different comp packages. I got a postcard today with more comped cruises. At the point where Royal says, oh no, we don't want to comp this, I'll just switch to another cruise line until they do want to do it again. Because, I've had times where suddenly Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, doesn't want to comp me, but Park MGM does. And if I go down to Park MGM and play a little at Flamingo or Horseshoe on that visit, oh, sure enough, Caesars is like, oh, we want you to come back. And they'll start throwing comps at me again. So I'm aware that my play this cruise doesn't match what they would have expected. And maybe they take into account that the casino was open on a weirder schedule. And maybe they don't. And maybe after the September cruise, my comps dry up a little bit. But I'm telling you, there is always somebody that's trying to fill a ship. If it's not Royal, it's Virgin. If it's not Virgin, it's MSC. Everybody's trying to fill ships. And when they have a problem filling a ship, the ADT requirement goes way down. Way, way, way down. So I am sure that this will not impact my ability to do comped cruises based on this one cruise. And I'll be paying attention on the next Royal cruise in September. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get, metaphorically, knock, knock, knock. Hey, TRG, you've got this 7-day cruise scheduled. We're taking it away from you. I can't believe that's happening based on this. So I think it'll balance out. I think between the February cruise and this cruise and the September cruise, that it'll all wash itself out and be okay. But at the same time, my ADT is my ADT, and on this cruise, it was not very good. I really was hoping that last day at sea with not a lot going on, that we would get in, if not a big winning session, at least a lengthy session where we went back and forth a bit, but we didn't. And it was just like, okay, we've done all we can do. We just got to let it be what it is.
So I did a similar cruise over 30 years ago. I just want to compare if they still use the same lines on the tours.
Oh, okay.
I think it was in Juneau on the tour. Did you go past a totem pole park?
Yeah.
And there was a totem pole where the artist put a fish on top.
Okay, yeah.
Did he tell a joke about that? Because I remember that joke to this day.
Well, share it with us, and then I'll tell you if you
did. Why did you put the fish on top of the totem pole? And he would answer, just for the halibut.
Oh.
That's the joke.
No one used that joke. Now, I don't know if that means it isn't still used from time to time, but in our case, it was not used.
And the other thing, there was a state office building. Did they highlight that you drove by? I think in June, obviously Juneau, because that's the capital. And
we did drive by it, yes.
And the tour guide would say, that's the SOB.
Ah.
Okay.
Nope, I didn't hear that one either. So
I could be a tour guide. I should go up there.
There you go.
Summertime, I could do the tour. But it is a beautiful, beautiful cruise. I mean, the scenery is phenomenal. I remember I'd sit down to eat with the ace, and then they'd make an announcement. There's killer whales off the side. I'd leave dinner. I can't stay. I'm sorry. And she was a few months pregnant at the time. So I'd run away and, see the whale. You just couldn't sit down. It was so phenomenal.
There was something amazing everywhere we looked. And you're absolutely right. Anybody that spots everything, highlights it for everybody else, and as many people as possible rush that direction.
And the inside passage, it looks like, to me, like pictures of Norway, of fjords in Norway. I mean, the mountains are so dramatic, and it goes right into the sea. It just, something, and you don't see, I'm from New Jersey, the most densely populated, and you don't see houses, you don't see, it's just wilderness. It's really delightful, and it's absolute delight to see that.
Well, yeah, I am super glad we did it, and I only would hesitate to do it again on what other offers are there. Is there something else that I haven't seen? But yeah, just the sheer wilderness everywhere. Absolutely beautiful. And the pictures are beautiful. It was the whole cruise was kind of a pinch me cruise. It was kind of, are we really here? Are we really doing this? Kind of the whole time. All right. Anything else? Cool. We will let Miss Glory wrap things up.
Please tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host, but don't tip away your wins. TRG has spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out he was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand. TRG was born a ramblin' man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The best part of the podcast is next. The Casino Combat Blues. Thank you again to Fish Audio for providing my glorious voice. Special thank you to my original actress, author, Julia Tverdovskaya.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace. There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has that advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that, don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement, it's the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
us, and we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets of folks like me and you. You ask any casino manager, he'll say there's nothing he can do. From the pockets of the casino, right down to me and you. Me and you. It's a winning proposition and one you shouldn't refuse. It's just the core concepts, the casino combat blues. Casino combat blues.
You know, I guess we don't really need it, but let's do it. Let's do the little post credits Easter egg here, everybody. Mostly because it's kind of fun. It's kind of neat that some of us have a secret. I think that's kind of fun. The last couple weeks has really driven home something to me. Sometimes you say things. Well, I shouldn't say sometimes you say things. Maybe you don't. Sometimes I say things kind of randomly, kind of quickly, and they end up being really prophetic, really kind of true. And I'll never forget one of the first few trips I took to Atlantic City, as I was just getting ready to know Nakatomi Tony. He said something like, well, I've got time on this day, if you guys wanted to hang out a little bit, but I don't want to ruin your vacation. And I said, Nakatomi Tony, I don't vacation. I do, not very often, but I don't consider going to Atlantic City going to vacation. I said, I don't go on vacation. I just live other places. And what I meant by that at the time was this idea that I've been to Atlantic City a bunch. I've been to Las Vegas a bunch. I've been to Biloxi a number of times. In a normal day, I'm going to do some remote IT work. I'm going to make phone calls. I'm going to exchange emails. I'm going to do email stuff for the podcast, Modern Day. I'm going to book somebody on a cruise, or I'm going to book somebody in a hotel room. I'm going to have text messages and Slack conversations with a variety of listeners to the podcast in a variety of ways. And I'm going to play some in the casino, and I'm going to probably sit in a bar somewhere and have a drink and have a conversation with somebody I've never met before. I'm maybe going to go see a show. That's just my normal life. And so I said it and I meant it, that I don't vacation. I just live my life other places, and my life is not significantly different in those other places. And as I've looked at the past year and the rest of the past 6 months and the next 6 months, I've realized it was kind of prophetic. Let me run it down, and then I'll come back and explain what I mean by prophetic. We went to Alaska and we came back, and we had about 10 days, and I got about 2 of those days left right now. Got a lot to cram in, but we're getting ready to use plane tickets my youngest son, the young squire, provided, and we're going to fly down to Miami and spend the evening, and then get on a plane and fly to Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. And we're going to spend some time with him and a young lady he's been spending time with down there. And we're going to see a bunch of different aspects of that part of Colombia that he knows and likes really well. And we're going to do some touring and learn some about the area, and go do some adventure, parasailing and jet skiing kind of stuff. And then we're going to come back home and dive back into work, which includes podcasting and gambling and all the things that go along with running the podcast. And then once again, I'm going to drive over to Atlantic City. Maybe it's getting a little more hectic. We may go right to NYC, but we're going to try to go over to Atlantic City and see some of the folks that we know and love there and do some things there, and then go up to New York City and get on a cruise ship with many of you and do the first Casino Combat card cruise. And then we're going to come back and we're going to be back home for about a month. And then we're going to fly out to Los Angeles and we're going to get on Quantum of the Seas and we're going to go down the Mexican Riviera and do all of that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to be back for about a month again. And then we're going to get on a plane once again with tickets provided by the young Squire. And we're going to fly by whatever route, maybe with a stop in Las Vegas, but we're going to fly out by whatever route and go spend some time with him in Hawaii, because that's what he gave us as a Christmas gift. And that will get us back home in time to do Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I am resisting the urge, and I think I will resist the urge to book a New Year's Eve cruise. There is one available that's really interesting out of New Orleans that is really, really tempting. But I think I'm going to resist that urge. And I'm not sharing all of that here in this little Easter egg segment to say, wow, look at us, I'm not at all. I'm stunned and amazed. It's completely unexpected. I never thought my life would take this turn. But the prophecy part, the only way that, once again, as the proverbial poor farm kid from the middle of nowhere, America, that I can keep my my internal center and my internal sanity is to not treat it as, I guess, being as amazing as it really is. That kind of throwaway line to Nakatomi Tony, don't worry about interrupting vacation. I don't vacation. I just live different places, is kind of becoming a mantra of how to do those things and experience them and not be overwhelmed by them, not be somewhat so in awe of it that I'm frozen by it. And I hope that makes sense. And I hope maybe that's a fun little insight into me. And as always, thank you for the gift of your time.